Happy Friday, Bills Mafia. Welcome back to another episode of the Friday Night Forecast. I am your host, Travis Blakesley. And we got the two usual suspects, two contributors. Herm, write it down for Byron Brown, the Buffalonian. How you doing, Herm?
What a joke that was. I'm great. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. You can check out. See, I'm in a different background here. I have no furniture in the other room.
There we go. That's all right. He
So-
eats and he does his dishes.
Yeah, really, right? Yeah, Byron, write it down, bro. That was good.
That was right. I thought of it on my drive home. Evan, how you doing, sir? I don't got anything.
Fantastic. How's everyone else doing? Even though I've talked to you for about 10 minutes before the show, I'm asking for some reason.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I mean,
Good.
we missed you guys last week. I was up in Buffalo. Herm was being a good grandpa.
That's right.
Hanging out with his granddaughter.
Getting her ready for trick or treating. Trunk or treating up here. It's trunk or treating.
Yeah, I know. It's changed. Things have changed.
Evan's shaking his head. People bring candy in their cars and put it in their trunks.
Yeah, we were lazy. We just got a big bowl and just put it in front and have at it.
Well, now, how long did that last? How long did that bowl last?
Really? I don't know. But as far as it was done, obviously it was empty.
Was the bowl there when you awoke?
Oh, the bowl was still
They didn't take the bowl. Okay.
No.
Good.
Yeah. All right. For the uninitiated here on the Friday Night Forecast, we break down each and every upcoming game. We got the Jaguars this week. We give you our takes, predictions, forecasts, etc., etc. But it's not just about us. We want to get your takes and forecasts, so you can drop it down in the comments. Like our buddy Jeremy over here. How you doing, Jeremy? And Mr. Kenny. Good evening, brothers. Hope you of course we had a good weekend. And a better one coming up. We're getting
Amen.
We're getting into the I don't know, the must-win part of our schedule where we got a couple, layups, so to speak, starting with Miami. Now we're right in the middle of it. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Every game is a game, but we definitely have to win the next two. Again, check us out on the audio platforms, any major audio platforms if you're not able to be with us live. Herm, what is your thoughts on the previous game? I know you sent me a text message in that first quarter. We got a little sputtering, but our man Cole Beasley came and jump-started the Bills. What do you think about that transition from the first half to the second?
Well, the first half, I think, as everybody watching and all of us, we were horrible offensively. And we were fortunate that the game was 3-3 at halftime, just by virtue defense played well again and Miami's missed field goal and their ineptitude on offense. But that's probably one of the worst offensive performances for a half that I've seen in some time from us. And also the play calling was suspect to me as well. It was predictable, pass, run, third and long. We were getting off the field. We had no sustained drives. I think we had 83 total yards just before halftime. And second half, we looked a little bit more like ourselves and took control of the game as I think all of us anticipated we would and should have. But we won the game. I guess that's the most important thing. In the second half, hopefully they can take that momentum that we built going forward and do this the North Florida team that we got coming up here in the weekend. But offensively, we couldn't run the ball. We didn't pass well. We didn't do anything well in the first half as far as I was concerned, other than Bass making a 56-yard field goal. And other than that, 57, we'd be shut out. So that's my take on that, on the game. But we got the W.
I wanted you to do your best Jim Mora impression. Remember when he was with the Saints? He stunk. Couldn't block anybody. Evan, speak on the turnaround from the first half to the second half?
I couldn't really say what happened in the locker room. McDermott must have told them something, like maybe he had like blackmail on everyone and threatened to release it all if they didn't get their act together or something like that. But yeah, they seem like a completely different team on offense, at least. It just stinks because I feel like this is one of those games where if you do well, it doesn't really say anything, but if you do poorly, it says a lot.
Right.
So, because you're playing Miami, so I guess this is just an example of Dable and McDermott making some good halftime adjustments, coming back out there and putting up. My math is terrible. 19 points. Yes, 19 points
in the second half.
Yes,
I think it was
19 points.
23.
23.
Oh yes, they were up.
Yeah.
They were up. Yeah, 6. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was certainly the tale of two halves, and like I mentioned earlier, I think Cole Beasley and probably the offensive design jump started the Bills in the second half. I personally, I don't like the predictability in the run game. We definitely don't have the horses to run at will. The first down runs is what gets me, is when they know it's coming, and we get Singletary or Moss running into the back of the offensive lineman. It's a mix of, I think the blame can go around. There's plenty of blame to go around, but I think the Bills just need to be who they are, and when we need to run, we should run. But when we're talking first down and we do it over and over and over, and you bring in guys like Kumaro for a play or two, he's there to block. When you have Gabe Davis motion in to flank the tight end or the tackle to crack back, it's to block for the run game, and it's very obvious. You could see it coming, and I think they kind of went away from it a little bit. So it was nice to see a little bit of a different game plan going on in the second half, which kind of brings me to my next point. The offensive line. I believe this will be the fourth different combination that we will see thus far, and we're not even halfway through the season. Evan, do you think this is going to be a group that is going to be able to sustain success? Because we know Allen masks them in the pass game, but as far as the run game and I guess everything under that umbrella, is this offensive line going to be able to get it done down the stretch?
Cody Ford's going to be playing this weekend. We're so screwed. No, I'm kidding. But it's good that they've been experimenting with different types of combinations already, I would say, because they have had guys that have gotten hurt already. And this week, it will be, I'm guessing, Williams staying out at right tackle and then Ford playing right guard, or either guard position, probably right guard. But before, when Brown was healthy and he's out this week again, it was him at right guard and it was him at right tackle and Williams at right guard. So they just need to avoid injury. They just got to stay healthy to get any kind of cohesion going. You're absolutely right about Allen masking a lot of issues when it comes to that. I know Allen has the lowest pressure to sack ratio in the league, I believe. So basically how many times he's pressured, how many times does that turn into a sack? He's the lowest. So he's able to maneuver the pocket, get out, scramble. When it comes to the running game, it's again a thing of cohesion. I don't particularly think that it's on the running backs at all. I would like to see more contributions in the pass game from the running backs, but by terms of solely the running game, I think you can let them off because I think they're perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both above average backs, but I can't remember. There was one run in particular where one of them just straight up ran into the back of the center or the guard.
I think I know the one you're talking about. It was Singletary.
Yeah,
the
just
left,
right into his ass.
on the left side. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just, again, it's hard to tell when you don't have the all 22. When you're watching from the broadcast view, it's you really you can't see what the design is. But AJ brings up a point here. He says Josh Allen doesn't need to have design run plays anymore. Josh Allen is the running game. So, I mean, as much as I would like to see him protect himself, which he's been doing a great job this year, he's not taking those shots. I would beg to differ. Herm, what do you think? Do you like the design runs that we've seen from Allen thus far?
No, I agree with AJ there. I think he's most effective when he's improvising. And when he had the 37-yard run when he broke out, the play broke down a little bit in the pocket, as Evans was saying. Okay, with the pressure to sack ratio, all right, he gets pressured, he can escape. He's pretty, he's got good speed. He's big, but the design runs, you're exposing him too much. I mean, if we lose our quarterback, you got Mitch Trubisky as a backup, but you're exposing him. And I mean, the defenses, they would love to take him out. They love to take out any quarterback.
If I can just interject real quick, a quarterback is far more likely to get injured in the pocket than he is outside of the pocket.
Possibly, but when you're
there.
When
well,
you're running,
not possibly. That is
yeah. Well, you can take the hits
otherwise.
Well, but when you're running the ball, he's not a running back. We got him to throw the ball. So if he gets hit while he's throwing the ball or trying to escape the pocket, that's one thing. But when you're intentionally using him as a running back, look at the shelf life of running backs. I think that speaks for itself. The shelf life of running backs, it's like a dime a dozen. Saquon, Henry, they're all gone. The big boys too. So eventually if you run the ball, eventually Gurley's not in the league. You got some backs that were great backs 3 years ago. They're not even here any longer. So intentionally running the ball, you become a running back, and their shelf life is limited. We got him to throw the football. So I'll go with AJ on that one.
All right. Fair point. Kenny, we are also tired of watching Feliciano get blown back.
For what it's worth,
garbage.
I think after the game, whatever week December 2nd is, I think that'll be the last week that he's a full-time starter, because that's when Warzone Pacific comes out and he'll be all over that. So
he's gonna change career mid-season. Yeah, it's I don't think the reduction in weight has done him any favors. It just seems like he's getting beat at the point of attack, and he's getting out muscled. And there's your cat.
You see?
Yeah. But I always see him turned around facing Allen while his guy just is 5 yards past him. So right. Yeah, it's something we're not a fan of, Kenny, either. But let's move on to the defensive side of the ball. The defense was back to their aggressive ball hawking ways. And Herm, I want you to touch on Ed Oliver's big breakout game. How do you think he fared? We saw his number called a lot. I believe he was one of the fastest guys off the ball in general on defense.
Yeah.
And he showed up in the stat column.
Yeah. Now I was impressed. They were talking about he hadn't had a sack before the game. He was in the backfield. Remember, he did have a sack that was taken away from him, if I recall, by penalty. But his presence in the backfield, he was off the ball quickly. To me, that was one of the best games I've seen him play in terms of coming. He put a lot of pressure on the middle of their offensive line, and him and Starr were. I think they played off of each other very well, but he was in that backfield. It seemed he was in the backfield more than our edge rushers, which was it was impressive. And tracking down, there was a couple of plays in pursuit that he surprised me, to be perfectly honest. And the quarterback broke out a little bit, and Tua broke out, and he was able to track him down, or at least make him hurry to throw. He felt the pressure, so. I felt that was one of the best games I think I've seen him play since he's been here.
I agree with that. And also he was, I don't know how he didn't recover that fumble.
Oh,
that
the
was
ball
tough.
came right
Yeah.
out.
He said
He's like a
he tried
grease
to pick, he said I heard an interview, he was like, oh, I'm always trying to pick it up and score a touchdown. And I'm like, in what situation did you see the ball right there, see all the people around you and be like, oh
You
yeah, I can
weren't
score a
picking that
touchdown.
ball up. Yeah, you
Yeah.
weren't picking that ball up.
Yeah,
You
scoop and
actually fell
score,
up.
okay, but
Yeah.
it's not a stop, drop, roll, pick up the ball and score.
Yeah.
Evan, if you want to add to what you thought of Ed Oliver's performance.
Yeah, I think it was really good. I'd probably have to disagree with you in saying that it was like one of the best performances you've ever seen from him. But it was definitely a good one. I found that basically the gap schemes where they attacked the gaps were very good by terms of play calling by Leslie Frazier or Sean McDermott, whichever one decided to come up with the majority of the playbook this week. And yeah, I agree with how Starr and Ed seem to be playing off each other. I think that's quite where their strength is right now. But I do want to give a lot of credit to Jerry Hughes and Greg Rousseau for both having incredible games. I think this was Greg Rousseau's best game, I'll be honest with you, based on consistent pressure and what he did throughout the rest of the game in terms of stopping the run as well. I know he had like a couple actual sacks in that first Miami game, but if you go back and watch the film, it's a little inflated, but that was still a really good game from him there. But I think even this one was better, even though he might not have shown up on the stat sheet as much.
Yeah, for defensive linemen, they're not. Most of the best games are not going to be found in the stat column. It's going to be consistent across the board. And what I love about Greg Rousseau is he plays the defensive end, the position the way it's supposed to. And that is both ways, whether it's run or pass. He doesn't give up contain, and that's why he's out there on those early downs. And he doesn't let guys get by him. So sticking with the defense, Herm, forget Pro Bowl. Is Poyer going to be all pro this year?
He should be. I mean, to a degree, it's a popularity contest sometimes, or reputations. You have some guys living Buddha Baker. I'm thinking about the honey badger, the honey badger down there in Kansas City with that defense. The reputation, they stink. But right now, I think I'm going to reiterate. I feel as a tandem, we have the best safety tandem in the league, to me personally. But Poyer right now is he's. I look around the league, and they'll talk about some of the other safeties in the league. He's playing the best football back there at that level of anybody in the league, and really, it shows because nobody really. I can't remember too many deep balls. Maybe you guys can correct me on that, being completed, or even teams really throwing the ball down the middle of the field. And look what he's got 3 interceptions, I think. Is it 3?
So, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, yeah, I'm with you there. I love to see him finally get his props. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, they're definitely the best tandem. I don't think anyone can argue that at all. I think Poyer is probably playing the best at safety overall in the league, and Micah Hyde isn't far behind him.
That's right.
And the Bills are the best team in regards to balls completed 20 yards downfield. I mean, without question. I think the biggest play was a screen, that was against Washington. So
right.
that really, outside of missed tackles, that doesn't have anything to do with him. So, I think we're going to get a case of what the NFL does is you're not noticed, and then you get all the accolades. And I think that's what's going to happen. And if it doesn't, I mean, it's almost good for us because you can tell it bothers him, and it should, but it lets him elevate his play. And, Evan, you just kind of touch on how they knew that play was coming, and that interview between the media, him and Micah Hyde, just kind of touch on that. and anything else you have to say on Poyer.
Well, the thing about Poyer in terms of Pro Bowl and All Pro, I feel like it still is not necessarily a popularity contest to the degree that people seem to think it is, but a team success type of contest as well. I feel like there's some players that would probably get the recognition that they deserve. If they played on big market teams or whatever, like that's a fair point to make. But I feel like Poyer will get the recognition this year because the Bills are actually good now overall. Because you could be playing out of your mind, but if you're playing on a team that's not making the playoffs or not making any noise, regardless of how big the market is, I think you're going to have a lower shot at getting any of those, making any of those teams.
And last year they were good, but their defense wasn't. So,
right.
It kind of holds water.
Well, Poyer and Hyde both didn't play as well last year. Hyde played better than Poyer, but and they were still both quite good. It's just not this level. And Kenny says right here that Byard and Derwin James are the only two safeties playing at Poyer's level. Probably the only guy I would put above Poyer would be probably Kevin Byard.
He's having
because he's been great for the last 4 or 5 years, however long he's been in the league. I can't remember. I think he got drafted in like 2016 or something like that. But yeah, based on what we've seen so far, I think he's totally deserving of second team All Pro, probably, I would say, for him right now. And that's just because of Kevin Byard.
Yeah, well, I mean, two safeties make it, so might be one of them. I know that the league has kind of gone to this. There is no strong safety. There is no free safety anymore, really. A lot of teams are.
Well, if you want to go by actual snap count and position on the field that they are, last year the Bills technically didn't even have a strong safety. They had 2 free safeties.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so that pretty much sums up last week. I think get the victory. The second half was obviously better than the first, and we sweep Miami, so you can never complain about that. Moving on to this week's matchup, we'll just go over the injuries real quick. The only guy who's questionable for Jacksonville is going to be James Robinson. All reports say that it's a pain tolerance thing, so you probably will see him out there. I don't know how. I know, McDermott doesn't like to play guys who don't practice. Not quite sure how Urban Meyer feels about that. For the Bills, obviously Spencer Brown with a back, which is concerning because those are the injuries. I think I was listening to Steve Tasker. He says it's not a back. You don't have a back injury. You have a back disease because you never know, when it's going to flare up. God forbid if it's lower back. If this guy, he said he was weightlifting. So if he's deadlifting, that's not good news. So hopefully he can be there for the remainder of the season for us.
I have a back injury from 10 years ago, and I'm still feeling it. So I can attest to that. Yeah.
Sucks. Back and neck for sure. John Feliciano is out with a calf strain. And obviously Dawson Knox with a hand. Cole Beasley had some ribs, and Poyer banged up his shoulder. But I would imagine Poyer is going to play, and Cole Beasley might be one of those game time decisions. Other than that, it's going to be a sunny day, high of 67. Nice weather, nice cool weather for Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But kind of getting into Buffalo currently. I mean, we touched on the 2 of the 3 game stretch, game 2 of 3, must win. The musical chairs on the offensive line, and another inexperienced quarterback to terrorize. We knew coming into the season that we were going to get a lot of these young guys, and even next week where we don't even know who we're going to see. We got to take advantage of it, which brings us to our opponent, the 1-6 Jacksonville Jaguars. This is the Urban Meyer experiment. Herm, do you think Urban Meyer lasts? Do you think he's going to be the head coach next year of the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I think so. I think he wants the challenge. Right now they're 1-6. He had his off the field issues with the nightclub incident, which was really bad press for him. People were talking about him with the USC job, but you remember he retired from coaching because of some health issues, and he needed to de-stress or something like to get away from football. But then you came back into the NFL, which you came back into a serious melting pot and to a team that they're talking. I read a lot of Jacksonville stuff this week, and they're saying, oh, they're optimistic about a rebuild, and they're actually using the Bills as a model from 2017 to where we're at right now in terms of putting together some young talent. They got some draft picks, but I think he'll be there next year. He has Trevor Lawrence. He was the number one draft pick. He's the next one. He was the next Andrew Luck. He was the next Peyton Manning. But as you said, he's a rookie quarterback, and he's looked like it a number of times. There's some games he's made some good throws, but I think Urban will be back on that particular note. He's got a. They think that they're going to be on the upswing, and as I said, they're using us, which is quite a compliment. As
things have changed.
Yeah, how things have changed is correct. So they're using us as a rebuilding model. So I think he will be back.
Evan, do you think? This is a guy who preaches leadership, but he doesn't seem that great of a leader. You're not taking. Forget what he did. The fact that you're not even going back with the team. You're in the place that you're in Ohio. How do you feel about Urban Meyer, and how long do you think he's gonna last over there?
I'm gonna say he'll last at least 2 years. And the reason why I say that is because he might be terrible, both those years, horrendously terrible. But Shahid Khan as an owner generally isn't a meddler. He sticks with guys longer than he probably should.
And it's a lot of money.
Yeah, that as well.
Yeah.
And the other guy who might be in his ear, his son Tony, he's caught up doing something else. So, no, I'm kidding. That won't be a big deal. But, no, yeah, that's just I think because Shahid Khan's not a meddler, I think he'll last longer. Sorry, what was the other thing that you wanted to bring up?
No, it was just if we thought he was going to stick around.
Yeah. By terms of being a leader or whatever. Again, it's not. I don't think that's something that's up for us to really talk about because it's a player thing, right? And whether you're a player's coach or more of a motivator kind of type, or the type of strategic type that doesn't necessarily rely on being particularly friendly to all your players, that's just whatever style of coaching matters to you, and if it gets results on the field, that's all you're really looking for. There hasn't been any results yet, as you should expect. It's a rebuilding team, but if it gets to the point where you are expecting results and there aren't any, then you do have to question his style of coaching, and then maybe find a new coach at that point. But for now, I think he's pretty secure.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt where he came into the job knowing he was going to get Trevor Lawrence. So, there's at least that going for him. Speaking of Trevor Lawrence, he was the prodigal son, the chosen one. But at the end of the day, he's just another rookie quarterback trying to figure it out. He's completing 59% of his passes. It's not great. He throws a lot of 50-50 balls. He's pretty much in the bottom third of the league in every statistical category, which is not surprising. Herm, is there anything that sticks out to you about Trevor Lawrence? Any surprises, or has his rookie season gone as expected?
Well, having watched him a lot of his games at Clemson and being impressed, to be perfectly honest in that regard, I thought he would perform better than he has. But then again, you have to look at your number one draft pick. You're going to the team with the worst record. So receiver wise, what he's got, Marvin Jones is his number one receiver who they got from the Lions, and Chenault. So you don't really have weapons. There was some talk about them going after Beckham, OBJ, or putting in, but then they were like, well, if you bring him there, you're really renting him because he'll be gone. If you bring him there, but what else do you have around him? So Robinson, he's got good running. He's pretty good running back. He's got a good per carry average, but that's what you really have to look at. The other night, watching the Thursday night game, with who's the color man, Troy Aikman. He said, he was 0-16 his first year, his rookie year with the Cowboys. And talking about the Jets situation, but I'll just relate that to Trevor Lawrence. So I thought he would perform a little bit better because, as you said, he's thrown it. I've watched, seen some of the throws, some that didn't get intercepted and some has, but they also said the windows closed a lot quicker in the NFL than they did when he was at Clemson. And you were in the ACC even in Clemson, but he played well in some big games. But it's you're stepping up. This is a huge step up right now in talent level that you're playing against every Sunday, even against what are supposedly bad teams. And they got their one win over there in London. But I don't want him to all of a sudden. I don't want him to have a breakout game against us this Sunday. So we need to put some pressure on him and make him look like the rookie that he is.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be the case. When you're playing at Clemson, you're playing with top-tier athletes. You got speed all over the field, and that's one thing that they're certainly lacking.
Right.
In Jacksonville, they don't have any speed at any of their skill positions. Evan, what do you think of this offense? If you want to touch on Trevor, if you got anything to add, and if not, with Shark going down, he ran a good 40 time, but he didn't really play that fast. Does he have the weapons around him to kind of facilitate the type of play that he had at Clemson?
Well, yeah, he definitely has the weapons around him because, Herm, you forgot about the elite tight end one, Jacob Hollister, who still plays for Jacksonville. But in all seriousness,
my bad.
In all seriousness, I'm really high on Whiskey Chenault. I think he's a great weapon for him there. Marvin Jones is a really good complementary piece. Obviously, it would be good for him to still have DJ Shark, but they won't. And also, their top three wide receivers all have Junior in their name. Just that observation. That's all. So I really don't have much to add on Lawrence other than, he does look like a rookie. But I do like how he's been very noticeably quiet, because when you come in with that type of hype, it'd be very easy to be a little more outspoken, especially when you're on a team that's as talent deficient as the Jaguars. So my guess, again, it's not really up to me to speak on it directly, but if I had to guess, he's probably being a pretty good leader behind the scenes. Because, other than Urban Meyer, there's not much coming out of Jacksonville.
You bring up a good point about the leadership. There's been a lot said that he is a good leader. And, I can kind of pretty much rule out the Ryan Leaf trajectory, because it seems like he knew what was coming, and he's taken his lumps, and, you don't really hear much out of him. He's not complaining. I think he's slowly getting better each week, although it may not show up in the stat sheet. And when you draft Etienne and you get injured before the season starts, I'm they were lining him up at wide receiver as well. So that's another weapon that they were without.
That was a mispick, though, I gotta say, that Etienne pick. Like, even if he didn't get hurt, it's like Meyer said he wanted to use him as a third down back. And it's like, why are you spending, like, okay, let's I'm obviously a big proponent of don't draft running backs in the first round, but let's say I even was. Why are you drafting a third round back in the first round?
Well, the Bills were talking about going for him too. You remember for Etienne?
Yeah, it's a
because he
luxury
could
pick.
catch the ball coming out of the backfield. Right?
Yeah,
He played like. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate Jacksonville for taking him, so it didn't give Bean any ideas.
yeah.
But other than that, it's like there's so many other spots and more important spots that Jacksonville could have gone, and I can't remember who was there at the time, but I thought for them that I remember.
Well, they had their pick of the offensive linemen.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
Before they,
I remember one of my mocks. I believe I had Greg Rousseau to them as well because of the fact that he was like just a purely developmental kind of guy. And if you're rebuilding, you don't necessarily want a guy with that like a moderate or like an average floor but an average ceiling. You might take a guy with a really low floor, but if he's developed by the time your rebuild starts to bear its fruits, let's say, you could have yourselves a really special player. So I think running backs are something you take when you have the luxury to. But that's not something that Lawrence can control, and he definitely can't control who gets hurt and who doesn't. So
yeah.
It's unfortunate for him, but by terms of this week's game, good for us.
Yeah.
Etienne is I'm not gonna cast judgment until I see him play, but I'm with you. I'm not a fan of taking a running back early like that. Maybe they saw him more than that, although you did mention as a third down back. But Urban Meyer was speaking reckless at the beginning of the year a lot in his press conferences. So I can't see them, spending that draft capital and having him as a third round back. Herm, before we move on to the defense, is there anything you'd like to add as far as receivers or running backs? Even maybe you said you mentioned Hollister, but Arnold is a decent tight end. He's been coming on lately.
Yeah, I mean, what Marvin Jones is their leading receiver. Chenault, I can't. Evan, as you said, you like him. I can't say I really have watched him. I mean, all I see is statistics. Because I watched a little bit of their game when they were in London against Miami. That's probably the only time I've really watched Jacksonville, other than seeing some highlights on the red zone or something like that. But Robinson, if I know he was questionable, he didn't practice, right? But
he's a little bit today.
Yeah, he's a game time decision, but that's really because he's caught a lot of balls. I think he's caught about 18 balls out of the backfield also, so helping him as an outlet to Trevor Lawrence. But Marvin Jones is their leading receiver. They don't scare me. I hate saying that just because I don't want to jinx their defense. Their offense doesn't scare me. And as you said earlier, Travis, they lack speed. And I mean, in the NFL, at some point in time, if you're going to be a great offense, you got to throw the ball downfield or have somebody that can be respected at least to go deep on defensively. Because that's one thing they were talking about with when I just read a thing, teams that were interested in Beckham. Now, whether Beckham can still get downfield, I think he can, to me personally. But they don't scare me. So the offense, if our defense plays as they should, that's not even. I don't see this really being too much of a battle on our offense against their defense, their offense against our defense. Excuse me.
And you bring up Odell. I mean, I don't think he'd want any part of that.
No, and he's going to be the waiver wire because he's going to probably be taken off the waiver wire.
True.
So then you may not have a choice in that matter. If he gets to be to free agency, well, if nobody picks him up, and then you can pick your squad.
It'll be interesting to see. Mentioned in the chat, Kenny said that their offensive line isn't that bad. Lawrence has only been sacked 8 times, where, it may not be that bad, but I don't think it's that good either. They haven't really made many moves in the last 2 or 3 years. and they have a weak interior line. Evan, you got anything to add on the offensive line? Anything from PFF or stat wise?
Nothing. I have to agree with Kenny on this one. They're not only allow 8 sacks good, but they are definitely better than I think a lot of people give them credit for. I know around the trade deadline, a lot of people were having the conversation of, hey, maybe the Bills want to trade for their left guard, Andrew Norwell.
Yes.
And I remember I always posed the question is like, he probably won't be around there once Lawrence hits his peak, but do you really want to trade your best offensive lineman for, who might help throughout the development process?
Right.
When you have a guy like Lawrence on a team that's so devoid of weapons and general talent at this point. So I think from the Jaguars' standpoint, it's good that they didn't trade him. But in terms of the other players on the offensive line, I really like Jawan Taylor. I think he's pretty solid in pass protection. And I remember I liked him when he was coming out, and they picked him, I want to say, in the second round. I remember I had like a mid-first grade on him whenever he came out. So I really like him as a player, and I'm glad that he's getting playing time on the Jags.
Well said. I tend to agree. Moving on to the defensive aspect of the Jaguars, this is a team that ranks at the very bottom of every statistical category except their rushing defense. Their rushing defense is decent. They're giving up a ton of pass yards. They're not really getting many sacks. They got 11 sacks, which is 30th in the league. And they're giving up 29 points per game. So this is a team that the Bills match up well, in my opinion. The first thing we can all talk about is the other Josh Allen. Herm, aside from the name, he's another physical specimen, just like our Josh is, and they've never met, but they're gonna meet Sunday. What do you got on Josh Allen and the Jags defensive line?
Well, I hope they don't meet in our backfield. I hope they don't meet in our backfield when they do meet. No, he's a quality player. To me, he's probably the best player to me on their defense individually. They don't have a lot of sacks, as you say. They're near the bottom. What's up, Bills?
And he accounts for 4.5, I think. So
right. It's 4.5 sacks, but out of their, what do you say, 11 in total for the whole team. So, I guess my only comment on that is I hope they don't meet for the first time in our backfield with our line, allowing him to get back there and touch from one Josh to another, from one Josh Allen to another, not just one Josh, from one Josh Allen to another. So I guess that's my take on it. I'm not overly impressed with Jacksonville, with the defense. I don't like saying that because, you've heard my term of riffraff. So I'm trying to be conservative here tonight and at least give them some respect because, as I said, I don't want them all of a sudden to have a breakout game against us because we're in this stretch, as you said earlier, of we've taken down Miami, you got Jacksonville, and then you got the Jets off there in the future. But I don't want them looking ahead as we might be doing.
Well, as the great Bill Parcells says, you are what your record is, and they're 1-6. Kenny chimes in again. Allen and Chasen are good D ends, but weak D tackles and a horrible secondary. Yeah. Their D tackles are actually pretty good at stopping the run. That's what they do, and their ranking shows it. A couple other things. This team only has 2 takeaways. Evan, as the defense of a whole, I mean, it's hard to gauge takeaways. I mean, a lot of times, just watching yesterday's game where what's his name just steps right up and punches the ball right out. It's like
Leonard.
Leonard, yeah, that's not a turnover worthy play, but it was a turnover.
No, that was a turnover worthy play.
Yeah, he created it. Yeah.
It was created, but I see your general point is in that some defenses are better at creating turnovers for themselves than other ones.
Yeah.
Because it's very the reason why generally turnovers are a lot more unsustainable of a stat is because there's a lot of luck that is involved. Receivers can drop passes, balls can get deflected.
Deflections,
it could be a rainy day, the ball could be wet, and the ball carriers just want to fumble, put it on the ground as much as they feel like it. So there is an element of it that I'm sure, like I haven't watched every Jacksonville game this year, but I'm sure there's at least partially an element that's just their opponents have been playing cleaner football. Of course, also they haven't been forcing their opponents to maybe adjust and play a bit unclean, but the thing about the Bills this year by comparison is that a lot of their turnovers have been, let's call them like forced turnovers or something. Like they're not getting their turnovers off of non-turnover worthy plays.
2017, we had a lot of luck. There was quite a few of them that came.
And that's the reason why, like, so far this year, I would mainly put a guy like Poyer over Hyde, because out of both their 3 interceptions, I think I'm struggling to come up with the one, but I don't think Hyde has an interception just himself, does he?
Well, he has that one against Washington where he stepped in front of the receiver.
Okay, Washington.
But you're right.
So
the other two.
The other one went right through Tyreek Hill's hands, and the other one was deflected by AJ Klein, who made a good play of all people. But and then Poyer, all 3 of his have been just like, no, I'm going to read this, I'm going to pick it.
He made plays,
yeah. He put in the work for sure.
Yeah, as if Hyde doesn't put in the work. No,
I
know what you mean. But yeah, so Jacksonville will start to get lucky. I just don't think it'll be this week. I hope it's not this week. Yeah, that's all I really gotta say.
I got a question for you. I think Elijah Griffin, that's his name, right? The corner.
Shaquille
Griffin. There you go.
Shaquille Griffin.
Yes. He followed Metcalf last week. Do either of you guys think that we'll see the same with Diggs, or do the Bills have too many weapons where it might not? Because they got a rookie on the other side.
Yeah.
Campbell's a rookie.
Yeah, I feel as if they might just do sides of the field for this game. Or there might be certain periods where they decide to go on matchups based on, height or speed or something along those lines. But I think for the most part, it's just going to be very conventional because there are just too many weapons on the Bills to deal with.
And admittedly, Urban Meyer said they don't really have the horses to run that cover 1 that they really want to. So you've seen a lot more cover 3 and even cover 2. They really want to run that single safety high look. But again, you got a rookie, and then, as good as Griffin has been, he's not a lockdown corner by any measure. So it'll be interesting to see how they defend the Bills. I assume they're gonna. I mean, this is a team that's not afraid to blitz, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of blitzing. But also, we've seen teams really play coverage, so it'll be interesting to see. Kenny chimes in saying PFF says Trey White has the most coverage snaps in the NFL without allowing a TD, and most red zone coverages without allowing a reception in the NFL. Well, he hasn't given up a touchdown, and although he doesn't have any turnovers, he's been playing well, and his PFF grade reflects that. All right, so there's not a whole lot to talk about when it comes to the Jaguars, but let's get into the matchups. Herm, let's start off with you. What is one matchup you are going to closely watch in Sunday's game?
One matchup in the game is Trey White and Marvin Jones. That's really the only thing I can think of competitively. Which that was good timing there with the comment, Kenny, for Trey White and his BFF, because Marvin Jones is his favorite target, Trevor Lawrence, and I think Trey is one of the best cornerbacks in the league. And unlike, as you're saying, with Shaquille Griffin, he's their best cornerback, but he's not in the upper echelon of cornerbacks to me in the league. Came down there and got some nice money in Jacksonville, but he's Levi Wallace might be better than him in my I'm serious, in my book. Levi Wallace, I think, might be a better cornerback than Shaquille Griffin. So that matchup on a one-on-one basis is one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, there's always a team that will overpay a number 2 corner and give them, starting corner money. What's a matchup you're looking forward to watching, Evan?
There's not any matchup I'm particularly looking forward to by terms of like substantive like film study or anything like that. I'm just looking for the Josh Allen v. Josh Allen meme matchup.
Hopefully,
I want to see. I'm sure the person there's going to be like 50 people during that game. They got like super powered like PVRs hooked up to like super powered PCs. Whoever gets that clip of Josh Allen tackling Josh Allen and gets that thing posted on Reddit is going to get enough Reddit gold to power their subscription through the end of time. So,
and they got some graphic ready to go. In the broadcast for sure.
Yeah.
So again, this is the lean part of the schedule. It's hard to come up with matchups when you're going against one of the poorer teams in the league. But I think what I'm curious to watch is Trevor Lawrence throwing those 50-50 balls to our defensive backs or, back 7. I think we're going to see a lot of them, and 9 times out of 10, well, maybe not 9 times out of 10, but a majority of the time, the Bills defensive players are in position to make plays, especially when they're superior to their opponents. So I'm really looking forward to watching our secondary specifically be aggressive when Lawrence decides to take some chances. Moving on to a stat prediction of the game. I'll start, and I'm going to go ahead and say that we see... How many do I want to say? I want to say that the Bills linebackers account for 2 sacks. Herm, what do you think? You got any stats that you're ready to call out for the game?
I think Josh would throw for 4 touchdowns in this game.
4 tutties. Just throwing, not including any rushing?
He'll throw 4 touchdowns in this game. At least 4.
All right. Evan, what's your stat of the game?
I think Mitch Trubisky is going to get at least 7 minutes of playing time.
Oh, yeah. All right.
It's always a party when Mitch Trubisky's playing.
We got Mitch in quarter. and you guys saw Mitch. They were talking about him on the trade wire.
Yeah.
They're looking. Who is it? Washington.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to see him go because it's good to have he looked good in the off season. I feel we may be the best backup in the league, even though Mike White looked good.
If I do need to add something, I think Mike White, that game, I just for curiosity's sake, I went back and watched all of the passes that Mike White made, and I think it might legitimately be the worst player of the week performance I've seen in an awfully long time. Because I feel like every single throw is just like, hey, Michael Carter, boop, take it. Now run for 10 yards. I'm and
the touchdown was.
I didn't know. I think I even saw somewhere. I wasn't keeping track of it in my head or on paper or anything like that, or on my computer or anything like that. But I was reading that he didn't attempt a pass that was over 15 yards downfield.
That's right. No,
And I'm like,
right.
yep, that sounds about right. Honestly.
No, they did. That was they statistically they said that. Yeah, I was reading that. Here in the New York papers especially. But you told 400 something over 400 yards passing.
Yeah, but that's absurd.
But the first ball he threw, the touchdown he threw last night, it was a good throw.
It was a good throw, but it was blown.
He was wide open, but
the guy who was he was wide open. Yeah. But he made a nice throw. He made a really nice throw.
Still,
no,
you got to give it credit for that.
Yeah, he made one other good throw.
Like two plays before.
Yeah, on the sideline, right. Yep. So I was like,
having said that,
I told somebody I was scouting that game. Yeah, because we got those coming up next. Because I hadn't watched the Jets all season.
It was anticlimactic.
And the Colts. But I'll tell you this, that Colt run game and 260 yards, and that's probably the weakest facet of our defense. So it gives you some food for thought for a couple of weeks down the road. But
I've been thinking it all year. So
with the Colts run,
that game, but we'll see.
Yeah. We got that. We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Herm, give me a offensive key to victory.
Offensive key to victory is to come out the gate. You guys know my term for these weak sisters, as they call them in the league, riffraff. Jacksonville is and I don't mean to be condescending, but yes, I do. They're riffraffs. So you got to come out here right away. We cannot perform like we did in the Miami game. And Miami's better than Jacksonville in my book, but we need to come out and jump on them right away. Come out here and score, and which puts the impetus on on Trevor Lawrence. If you're coming from behind, you got to throw, and then we can turn our defense loose, our pass rushers, and our young boys, and Jerry Hughes as well. So I want our offense to come out here and perform at a high level early and often.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on that thought. I think we need to throw the ball early and often.
I agree.
The Jaguars have a passer rating against that of 113.5. That's
there you go.
Josh's eyes should be lighting up, and no nonsense. I want to see the Seattle game plan of last year where we didn't run the ball until
you're right.
Right before half. As long as the weather's good, just keep throwing. Early and often. Evan, what's your offensive key to victory?
I'm gonna say don't be cute. This is a game that everyone's expecting you to win. You should win this game. Don't get all experimental and stuff like that. Just play your game and let the most talent win.
There you go.
It's pretty clear the Bills have the most talent. So as long as you don't completely botch your game plan, that should be enough.
Well said. Give us a defensive key to victory, Herm.
He's only been sacked 8 times. I think that was the stat earlier that was shared with us. But put some pressure on him, and let's see what he's made of. I know he has one thing I remember from him in Clemson and seeing some highlights of some of his games here so far in the NFL. He does have escapability, and he's pretty mobile, but put some pressure on him, because if Robinson, we shut down the run game. If he plays, I don't think he's at 100% based upon what's unless if we believe what's been reported. But if we shut down the run game and we get on them early and force them to pass, we got to put pressure. Our defense has to put pressure that our front four on Trevor Lawrence and make him uncomfortable.
Yeah, I wouldn't even mind seeing some blitzing. For me, it's going to be get them in third down situations. This team is 31st in the league on third down. They're only converting on 32% of their third down attempts. So just, play the sticks, make them beat you on third down. Young quarterbacks tend to press in those situations. So, keep the down and distance in your favor. Evan, what you got?
I'm going to say don't overcommit to stopping one facet of the game, because it's easy to say that you can overcommit to the pass because they're going to keep wanting to experiment with Trevor Lawrence, but James Robinson's incredible, so you might overcommit to stopping him. I just say you have to make sure you just maintain a good balance on defense. I know that sounds really vague, but that's just all it is.
No, I like it. Just play your game. All right, Herm, give us a prediction.
I got my prediction at 38-14.
Jags, right?
Picture that. Sorry. I had to laugh on that one. 38-14 Buffalo.
Oh, I was just about to say, well, seeing as you didn't actually deny that you said Jags and that you just laughed at it, you could have, for all I know, you could have been like, you're a good one. You can read my mind. That's impressive.
I clarified that quickly.
Yes, very quickly.
You're immune. You're not vaccinated. You're immunized.
Immunized.
I'm
Yeah.
immunized.
Oh, dear.
I'm immunized. Is right.
I'm gonna go with 41-17 for the Bills.
41.
That's close to mine. I'm going 35-16. Sprinkle some field goals in there.
16.
I don't like giving up those touchdowns. I was gonna go 17, but I was like 2 touchdowns.
35-16.
35-16.
Okay.
All
So
right.
You got us with a 19-point. Evan with 24, and I got 24.
Well, they're what is it? It's at over 14 now. I think.
Yeah, 14 was that 14 and a half earlier.
Is it just me, or have there been way more games this year with double-digit spreads?
Wait, we've had some huge spreads.
We've had some for sure, yeah.
Which is incredible
but just in
Buffalo
general,
fan. For a Buffalo fan going back into the 60s to have, we've had a 17-pointer, a 14-pointer, a 10-pointer
on the road
in the first 8 games of the year. It's
they need that sticker that's front and center on Travis's screen. Bills were 16.5 point underdogs in that game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Minneapolis. Which brings us to our favorites segment, the 5-day forecast. Now, we were out last week. Let me dig into. I know, Herm, you're making a comeback. Hold on one second.
That's right. I remember.
You're keeping your own total, huh?
Well,
so if
prognostication.
And now, of course, okay. So as of the week prior, I am 19 of 30. Herm, you're 18 of 30. Evan, you're 15 of 30. You got some ground to catch up.
Yeah.
So without further ado, Monday, Singletary outcarries Moss. Now, this has not been the case. Herm, what do you think?
Singletary outcarries Moss. I'm gonna go clear on that.
What about you, Evan?
I'm gonna say clear as well.
All right. The contrarian I am. Let's go cloudy.
Okay.
Maybe you answered half this already, Herm, but Allen throws for 300 plus and 3 touchdowns. 300 plus 3 total touchdowns. So you can add in rushing there.
I will clear on that as well.
Clear. Clear.
It's like you're offended I even asked that.
You detected that, right? Since I called already 4 touchdown passes.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to go clear as well. Sanders has at least 6 receptions. What do you think, Herm?
Cloudy.
Cloudy, okay.
I'm going to go cloudy as well.
I think he's going to have a bounce back game. He's always in the targets. Let's just get him let's get him those receptions. This one's for you, Evan. You can start off. McKenzie scores a touchdown.
Clear.
There you go. What do you think, Herm?
Cloudy.
Beasley may be injured. Do we get a special teams touchdown finally?
Cloudy.
Mackenzie's playing the long game. He's gonna muff another kickoff or punt, and Dable's Farwell's gonna be like, okay, we're swapping you out right now for someone else, and then Dable's gonna be like, oh, okay, he's free now. I'm gonna put him back on offense.
Yeah.
Well,
you're lucky. Yeah, lucky we got the touchback on that one.
I know.
Oh yeah.
I like how
that rule should probably be changed.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree but it you know what? It was changed because when I was young, that was a touchdown. But then I had the muffs because then but when I was
the muff is not considered possession.
Exactly right. Yeah. So I don't like. But you know what? Other one I don't like is when you just pitch the ball to the running back and it's a pass.
It's funny that you say that. That's how McKenzie's going to score his touchdown.
Yeah. And then it's going to show up. It's going to show up on the screen as Jay Allen 69-yard TD pass to McKenzie.
I hate that rule.
Yeah.
Because they changed. That was another rule before you guys were born. That was just a lateral. Or
behind the line of scrimmage.
Behind the line of scrimmage, exactly. So or like a pitch out. And now you get credit for receiving yards and passing yards. It's incredible.
Well, the other thing is that I find that some quarterbacks have a different way of like handing it off or like pitching it. Like some actually like pop it up like that, and then there's others that just kind of either push, and there's others that just kind of drop it.
Right, Evan.
And I'm like, how is that one a pass?
The drop one's dangerous because when does it become a fumble?
Yeah.
Yeah. But Evan's right. Sometimes there's not even like 2 feet of space between the quarterback and the guy crossing in front of him, and
and then you got the Gesicki ones where it doesn't even touch the quarterback; it just hits you in the ass. You're running by.
Yeah, that was fortuitous.
Who got charged with the fumble on that?
He did, I think.
Maybe Gesicki, I guess. I don't know.
I'm gonna look that up because I seriously don't know.
Yeah, because it hit him. Well, that was like
he touched you last.
But you know what, Evan? That feeds into what you said. Don't get too cute.
Yeah,
remember you said that. Yeah, that was right there. That was you got too cute, and you were moving. There had a little momentum going there.
And just not to go back too far, but we got too cute on that 4th down, where you don't pull that on 4th down because. That's what happens, like go for it, whatever, but you don't snap the ball unless the guy touches you on 4th down.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. And then you're back there arguing about it instead of trying to make a play. Yeah.
You're pointing while some guy's running down.
Yeah. Thank you. I was screaming. Oh, I was screaming.
I'm sure you were. I'm sure you All right. Lastly, before Evan, if you let us know in a second, but the defense, I did this one again. The defense combines for a combination of 5 sacks / turnovers.
I want to say clear on that. And the fumble got charged to Austin Ryder.
Is it the center?
So the center, yeah.
The center got the fumble.
That makes a little more sense.
Really? Why? Because of the snap?
I guess.
I don't even know if Tua.
See, that one there is weird because the center snapped the ball, but he got the fumble.
It's like the false start where everyone moves.
Where everyone moves except the center, where it's like everyone moving was the proper thing to do, but
but he didn't.
They get called on everyone except the center.
But that one there, he snapped the ball.
Yeah,
and it touched other players.
I guess the idea is that since it went off another player, it was a bad snap. I guess. I don't know.
Somebody's got to take the blame, and I don't know if you're ever going to find out.
No.
When they're watching film, they will.
So would a long snapper get the credit for a fumble when he botches, and that happens more than that, right?
Well, if a long snapper fires a ball over the punter's head, then he'll get credit for a fumble, I think, which makes sense. But if it hits someone in the hands and they just drop
it's got to be like baseball, a wild pitch. All that kind of,
Yeah.
You got to be a separate stat for that.
The score.
All right,
Okay.
Herm. You
So
think they
you're
combine
saying
for 5?
defense 5, and I'm gonna go Cloudy. 5 sacks.
right.
He's only been sacked 8 times, and then that we'd have to sack him and turn him over twice and 3 turnovers. No.
No.
Well, no,
All right.
I'm not gonna say no way, but I'm going Cloudy.
All right, and then Kenny got one for us. Diggs at 170 plus with Knox hurt and Beasley banged up. Could this be? Is this the Stephon Diggs game, Herm?
I think it's his game. I don't think he'll get 170, even though he would love to, so he can talk trash to his brother. His brother's been getting all the props in the family this year.
That's a Lee Evans, JP Lossman type game right there.
Yeah.
2 catches for, gosh, my math
What,
is
a 280, 160,
160,
right?
166. It'd be 166.
JP Lossman, the name on the pass. All right.
AKA Adam Sandler.
Las Vegas Locomotives legend, JP Lossman.
That's true. Forgot about that. All right. Herm, give us your final thoughts before we get out of here.
Well, we're playing Riff Raff, and when you play Riff Raff, you have to take their will away early and often, or otherwise they believe they can win the game. And I don't want them to even feel that way. I want to relax in this game. I want this to be a stress-free game. Last week at halftime, we're sitting there going, wow, they got the ball coming out in the second half, and they're feeling pretty good, Miami, but the defense did their thing, took them away. I do not want to be in that situation. I want them to come out there and you do what you do to Riff Raff. You just smack them around, blow them out, and then get Trubisky in for a minimum of 7 minutes.
Herm wants his gin and tonic with his little umbrella straw and his feet up.
Yeah, I want to relax. Yeah. Come on. Like the Kansas City game, right?
That's right. All right. Final thoughts, Evan.
Let's get out of here. Call of Duty Vanguard came out today. I want to go play it. I don't want to look at you losers anymore.
Well, then I'll keep it short. Jordan Poyer
I'm kidding.
for all. No, I hear it. Jordan Poyer for all pro. Write it down. Make it happen. Fortify that election, please. Until next week, this is a Friday night forecast. Thank you for joining me, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me all out there who have been watching. Until next time, go Bills.
Go Bills. Go Bills.